Okay, testing. Let's make sure we can hear this. Right. All right. Hello, everyone. Let's do a little testing. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Sounds good? Thank you very much. I see. All right. Welcome in. So happy Friday. Friday. Well, today is October 25th, but it's Friday. It's the Friday night pig roast. So welcome in, everyone. Good to see you all. Now, I know it's rather late and unannounced, but happy to see everybody. I'm going to say hello to you really quickly and tell you what we'll be doing tonight, and hopefully you enjoy it. So let's begin by saying hello to Say What, Court of Public Opinion, Dennis McKean. Dennis says, I have to get up at 4 a.m., so I'll just be listening till I fall asleep. Awesome, Dennis. Meow, meow, hello. Amy, what's up, Amy? Rebecca Ann, Andy Cindy, Dawn Steele, Amy Dunn, Tracy Fleetwood, and It's a New Day. What's up, It's a New Day? Shell, Pam, artist formerly known, Indy Cindy. Okay, all you guys, welcome in. Thank you, Rebby Lee, for becoming a new member. There you go. And listen, please like and subscribe, and also support the channel. If you're new here, be aware this is the backup channel. I have another channel called the Prof, and you can please go subscribe there too. And there's different things on both channels, especially on the community pages. So what am I saying here? So please support the channel. We have memberships and super chats and all that stuff. So please support the channel. We need it. Welcome in Carol and Michelle and Nancy Drew 101, Pam Sheehan. Okay, welcome in everyone. So yeah, yeah, it's not hog roast, it's hog shit. Thank you, Carol. All right, so yeah, we are here at pretty much the completion of the first full week, the Delphi murders case against Richard Allen, right? I hope you guys are happy with it, because I think you will be discovering, if you haven't already realized, that things are going well. Remember, this is the state's case at this moment. This is the state's case. And I don't know, it's almost seeming like the defense's presentation at this point. That's how bad it is. So I just would like to chime in with that and send you guys a word of encouragement, because if it's this bad already, just wait until the defense gets up and starts presenting its case. So that's where we are. And I decided that tonight what I'd like to do is give you a brief synopsis of the week in review in our attempts to begin the pig roast. And to do that, I decided that the easiest way would be to go and to read some of the news coverage for you. So that's what I'll be doing tonight. Let's see, what's up, Carol Stanhope? All right, yeah, and Ashley Nudo, what's up, Ashley? So I'll be reading some of this stuff for you from the past week, just to give you a little refresher. And then, yeah, good one. Has the state started presenting a case yet? I hadn't noticed. Oof. It's looking rough, but that's what it's like when you have zero evidence and your whole case is a house of cards, and it's already crumbling. So it is what it is with the Delphi murders case against Richard Allen. But I anxiously await the defense's presentation, and I think all of you will be very happy with it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to run on back to Saturday. Okay. Now, Saturday was, let's see, the 19th. Okay. We're going to run back on to Saturday, the 19th, and start from there. So if you're watching this at any point in the future on a replay, please realize that that we're starting here with Saturday, which was in in truth, it was the second day of the trial. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Rebecca. Super chat 9.99 from Rebecca. Thank you very much. I have done a great job. Well, thank you, and I hope all of you realize. I didn't really want to make an announcement of this, but so in all honesty, I've concentrated the bulk of my efforts on the work leading up to the start of trial because I knew that the work that I wanted to do that was really hard hitting was in preparation for the first day of trial. So since trial has started, I've sort of laid back and relaxed a bit, and I'd like you to know that you're going to continue to see that. I'm taking it easy. I think the big push for me was in the months prior to the start of trial. Pardon me. So yeah, I was a little. I was pushing real hard then, and right now I just feel okay to let everything run its course. So I'm laying back a little, but I sure do appreciate all of the interaction with the chat. It's what I love to do, and we'll be continuing to go forward. But I don't feel the level of urgency that I felt before because everything is ticking away now, and I'm really happy with where everything is. But I do have to admit that when the defense starts its presentation, I am going to. I'm sure I'll be very excited, and I'll start to really aggressively cover their presentation. And also, please be aware that I have a very detailed notebook, thanks to a few of the attorneys and participants of the in the courtroom process here. So I have very detailed notes that I've been gifted. So I still intend to do a very thorough criticism or critique of those notes from the past week. And that's what I'll be embarking upon next week. Okay, so I'll be getting into reviewing this past week next week by doing a breakdown of all the notes from the courtroom. But tonight, what we'll do in lieu of that, in lieu of a criticism or critique, we'll be doing a basic read through of some of the coverage for the past week. And my intention in doing that is to refresh us all as to what's transpired in the past week, the past 7 days of trial, but also to, how would I put it? To open the door for you, my amazing chat, to begin our roasting of the pigs. So, so please feel free to roast the pigs. That's we're having a pig roast. We are being Ron Logan's tonight. We're going to roast the pigs, and we're going to do so by embarking upon a week in review, thanks to some interesting article writing from the past week. So we'll be getting into that now. But thank you, Rebecca N. It's a New Day says the dynamic defense team is already mopping the courtroom floor with the prosecution's non-existent case against Mr. Richard Allen. The rest will be history, and the universe will deliver what's due. And that's what I'm implying to you all. That's what I'm implying, that, how would I put it? Things are already going pretty poorly, okay, for the prosecution here, because this case is flimsy. And it's as if the state is presenting the defense's case. It's just been amazing. And so for that reason, I'm highly optimistic. And I do believe that the defense will use this opportunity not only to present their strong defense of Mr. Richard Allen, but I believe they will also attempt to provide some disclosure around the case, or should I say, the discovery from the investigation of the Delphi murders. And so hopefully, not only will we see a vigorous defense, but hopefully we will also learn things that we've been waiting for 7+ years to learn. So, so that's where I think we are. So we will definitely have a full month ahead. So I would just like to encourage you all to keep your heads up. I know some of my listeners and viewers, they're going through this emotional roller coaster, and I want to just encourage you to remain optimistic and look at all the beauty and the amazing good things that are coming from this, because we've had enough of the darkness and the bad things. And let's not focus on that. But thank you, Mr. Dennis McKean, for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Okay. Thank you so much, Dennis. And I hope you enjoy listening on your way to sleep. Welcome in, JoJo and Cromley. Welcome in, Cromley. All right. Anyone else coming in, please greet them heartily in the chat. And like I said, once we start getting into this reading of the coverage from the past 6 days, please do me a favor and let's begin the roast. Okay. Okay. Yes, we want the truth about the Delphi murders to come to the surface, because that is the only true justice for Abby and Libby, is that the truth rise to the surface of the Delphi murders scenario. Yeah, I believe we're seeing why the judge did not want the trial televised. I mean, it's a complete, it's a bloodbath in there, for lack of a better term. How fascinating is it for an outsider viewing this? They had to ask who was being tried. Then they took notice of the analysis taken up by the Psycho Brown, only to find it wasn't the murder weapon. Yeah, I mean, how insane. All right, so like I said, guys, please enjoy it. Yeah, spank that like. Lurkers are welcome to come in as long as you're nice to my chatters. Everyone's welcome here. This is a community platform. It's not mine. It's yours. All right, so we're going to kick it on back to Saturday, as I mentioned, Saturday the 19th. We're roasting the pigs, Mr. Cromley. All right, jurors heard testimony from Delphi's former police chief. Oh, speaking of pigs. And two people who searched for Abby Williams and Libby German in 2017. Saturday's session centered around the initial reports of the day the girls went missing and the efforts to find them. Steve Mullen, who is the current investigator for the prosecutor's office and was a Delphi police chief in February 2017, described his timeline of what happened on February 13. Remember, this is a pig roast, so here we go. I figured the girls would return home. I didn't think anything bad happened, Mullen said. Mullen said he was off duty when he heard police scanner traffic that the girls were missing. He went to the Carroll County Dispatch Office and stayed there the remainder of the night. Mullen testified police ended their search around 2 a.m. Pause. How odd is that? That's just about the time that horror screams were heard. Just about the time that horror screams were heard and that Lesenby telephoned Sterrett to come out and help because he needed more flashlights or something like that. Something like that, right? Okay. Mullen spent time explaining. Remember, this is Saturday. This is Saturday. Mullen spent time explaining the geography of the trails and the surrounding area for the jury to better understand. Although the jury should have been marched out there, right? All you have to do is put them in a van or on a bus, bring them right out there and let them see the entire area for themselves. It would give them an entirely different perspective on this case. But of course, it ain't going to happen. Thank you very much, Deborah. Deborah, beautiful. Thank you very much for the support there. I really appreciate the support. We need the support. Please support this channel. This has turned into a full-time job for the Prof, ladies and gentlemen, as of 2 years ago. So I'd ask you to support me, and I thank those who do, because this has become a necessity to dedicate all my time. All right. This is one of the most complex things you've ever heard of. I mean, this is beyond a level of complexity of anything you would find in the sciences. Just want you to know that. Okay. Anyhow, Mullins, he circled on a map different locations the prosecution thought the jury would want to know of. But like I said, they should have brought that damn jury out there and let them see for themselves so that they could truly understand the likelihood of certain things or certain scenarios happening. Visiting the trails myself thoroughly changed my outlook on what were the possibilities. Truly, I want you to know, visiting those trails thoroughly changed some things in my mind, in my body. It made things very different. A certain amount of realism entered my consciousness by putting myself out there and seeing how things laid and the likelihood of certain hypothetical scenarios. Okay. I found it interesting that Mullen said he was with dispatch till 2 a.m. on 2/14/2017. So he went home around the time the call for the screams at the bridge, the horror screams. Yes. But Mullins, no, Lesenby told Sterrett that the phone pinged and sent them out there, okay, about that time. However, that phone did not ping, so that was a lie. So the question is, was it due to the horror screams that Lesenby called Sterrett to go back out there? And remember what Sterrett said. We'll be getting into that. Sterrett said that people were out there where the girls were with flashlights. It was all lit up. So as this all unfolds, you're going to realize that everything we've been saying has been very spot on. Okay. Now let's continue because we're roasting pigs. And here's another one. Jake Johns. Okay. Jake Johns, a Delphi resident and pig, took the stand next and testified to finding German's shirt while searching an area near the riverbank below the Monon High Bridge on February 14. Johns said he was searching with another Delphi resident when he noticed German's tie-dye shirt in the water. He said the water was calm that day, but it was too deep and they didn't try to cross to look in the area on the other side of Deer Creek. Thank you very much, Rebby Lee. I echo others in gratitude for staying on this. Your incredible hard work on this. Justice for these girls. P.S. Nancy Grace is despicable. Yes, what is disgrace? Ah, nice one. Nancy Grace is also a pig. Let's be honest here. Okay. Thank you, Prof, for your time and trying to help. If you read my email, I've put in lots of time, but mainly under the radar because that's how I like it. I did read your email. It was absolutely fascinating, and I'm going to reply to it because I want more from all of that. So you will be hearing back from me, but thank you. I found that fascinating. Okay. Thanks, Cindy. Okay. All right. So the final witness on the stand was another pig, Pat Brown. He is also a Delphi resident and friend of German's grandparents. During emotional testimony, he described searching for the girls on February 13 and 14. After getting a phone call, he says he headed to an area near the High Bridge, ultimately discovering the bodies. When describing the moments he came across German and Williams, he started crying and had to pause himself before saying, "We found them." He went on to say that he first thought they were mannequins. Brown says he called police and had to turn his back to the bodies while waiting for arrival. The jury asked a couple of questions, including clarification on Brown's phone provider the day he called from the area where the bodies were found, and a timeline for the arrival of police. Jurors were dismissed around 11:35 a.m. to return to court Monday morning. Now, let's stop here because for you guys, you should be very much aware that things are already not adding up, okay? They're not adding up in several ways. David Erskine told us that those bodies were found closer to the 9 to 10 a.m. time frame. Okay? Little Frankie told us that Becky Patty received a call way before 12 noon. We will be getting into the detailed breakdown of their particular testimonies about this. Remember, right now we're just doing a run through of the week, past week. So we're not going to really break it down. But let me ask you, how likely is it that Becky Patty received a call far before noon if those bodies were found after noon? How likely is it that David Erskine and company found those bodies closer to 9 to 10 a.m. if they were found at 12:17 p.m.? Something not adding up already. What about those who tell us that those bodies were found one half in and out of the water, one clinging onto the bank, one holding on to life, one already dead? Why all the contradictory statements from the locals? Is it possible that those bodies were found twice? Is it possible they were found twice? If they were found twice, then the people who found them the first time would certainly have some criminal liability on their hands, wouldn't it? Would they not? If they found the bodies the first time someplace else in some other condition, then you have to ask, did they move the bodies and place them where they were found the second time? Because something's not adding up. And look, it's not just me, it's not just a couple others. This has been a persistent story from the locals. Let's see the three stories we have. One, they were killed near a shack in a cave. A shack in a cave. Okay. Two, they were found in the water, one in and one out of the water, right on the banks, with a parenthetical possibility that one was still hanging on to life. And then we have the third scenario in which they are found on Ron Logan's, where we know they were last found. So, how do these possibilities make any sense? Unless a bunch of people are not telling the truth. I mean, is it possible that David Erskine was telling the truth? Because remember, in the recording I played for you, he was saying much earlier, and little Frankie echoed him, saying that, yes, Becky told me it was earlier when she got the call. So if you wonder why I call Jake Johns and Pat Brown pigs, is because something ain't making sense. Something ain't making sense. Is Jake Johns telling the truth? Is David Erskine telling the truth? Is Pat Brown telling the truth? So Let's continue. We'll move on to day 3, which was Monday. Okay. Crime scene photos and reaction to those images was the main focus of day 3 of the Delphi murders trial. Richard Allen is charged with the 2017 murders of Libby German and Abby Williams. Court started shortly after 9 a.m. Some members of the general public were turned away due to limited seating. The jurors were asked a number of questions, including if anyone had talked to them about the case. All 12 jurors and 4 alternates answered no. The defense took time most of day 3 to cast doubt on what they believe were shortfalls in the crime scene investigation and the security of the crime scene. Imagine that. Imagine that. Sounds like the defense is doing the job of the investigators, actually. Since when is it the job of the defense to solve a crime? Short. Okay. More than 50 crime scene photos were shown on a large screen television inside the courtroom. A crime scene investigator from the Indiana State Police narrated as the photos were being shown. It took about 90 minutes before the court broke for recess. Family, jurors, and the court gallery were visibly emotional as photos of Williams and German were shown. Yes, I wonder why. They were butchered. In the photos, both girls had large lacerations to their throats. Abby's body was found a few feet away from Libby's. According to the images, Abby was fully clothed, but Libby was completely nude. Testimony shared that Abby was wearing Libby's jeans and sweatshirt. I'm going to comment on that shortly. One crime scene investigator testified to Abby's jeans and jacket being found in the river, as well as Libby's t-shirt. Deputy Darren Giancola, a detective for the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, was the first witness called to the stand for the state on day 3. After seeing social media posts about the disappearance of the girls, Giancola testified he reported to the Carroll County Sheriff's Department on February 13, 2017. He went to the trails near the Monon High Bridge where he started to search with other first responders. I worked in this field for a while. Not knowing who they were, we usually would have juveniles go missing, and they would be at a movie or something with their friends. But they would usually show back up, Detective Giancola said. Well, remember, that's exactly what Mullins said, right? No big deal. They'll show back up. Giancola continued his testimony regarding the search efforts on February 14, 2017. He said he was the first law enforcement officer to arrive at the crime scene. He said he was called to the area to view footage from a possible trail camera. He was asked to head to Deer Creek because, quote, we were told members of the search party had found something, possibly bodies. Okay, pause here. He said he was called to the area to view footage from a possible trail camera. Keep that in mind. He then says he was asked to head to the area because he was told members of the search party had found something, possibly bodies. Possibly bodies? Sounds like we got another pig. Giancola testified to seeing multiple people in the area of Deer Creek, and he said he saw a multicolored shirt and a shoe in the water. He said when he first saw the bodies of Abby and Libby, one was nude, the other was clothed. He told the court he did not perform life-saving measures on the girls because it was, quote, apparent they were deceased. He recalled Abby had blood near her wound, but Libby had blood all over her body. The ground beneath their bodies was also saturated in blood. Did he forget to mention the pool of blood away from their bodies that also had a rune made of sticks right on top of it? Giancola said he secured the crime scene and called for backup. Indiana State Police then arrived. Okay. Is it possible that the clothes on Abby were there on her before she arrived at the trails? You know, when girls have sleepovers, they might often choose to ask each other to wear each other's clothes. It's something little teenage girls like to do. Is it possible that Abby had already been wearing those clothes? Did she put on those clothes in the Patty household? Remember, the entire time we were told that Libby had on an entire different set of clothes, especially pants-wise. So is it possible that Libby was wearing what she was initially described to have been wearing for years, and that Abby was wearing what she was found in? It's all possible. It's all possible. You see, with these people, with this case, you have to question literally everything you're told. You know that. Every single thing you are told has to be called into question, because so far, nothing has added up, which means everything is possible with these people. Hey, I know it's a size difference, okay? But I'm telling you, go look at the crime scene photos. They're fitting on her well enough. They're fitting on her well enough. No matter what you're saying about the size difference, they're fitting on her. Go look at Abby in the photos. They're fitting on her well enough. Anyway, it's just a side thought to keep in mind. Okay. It's just something to keep in mind. The second witness called by the state to testify Monday was Jason Page. Page is an ISP crime scene investigator responsible for photographing the scene. He referenced the topography of the crime scene and said there was a substantial amount of blood found on Libby and in the area where the girls were found. Tree branches were found on the girls' bodies. A large branch appeared over Libby's upper body. When asked to describe the terrain, Page said it is pretty rough and steep. While showing the jury a map, he described the area he called Ground Zero and the path leading to the girls' bodies. Page described a water search conducted by the dive team and the areas they searched with metal detectors. As the photos were being shown in the courtroom, many jurors put their hands on their heads, squirmed, and sighed, and turned red as they saw photographs of the girls' bodies. One juror put a hand over their mouth. Some family members had to turn away while visibly sobbing at the images. Richard Allen looked at the photos and was taking notes. He did not show any visible emotion. Special Judge, the ridiculous Fran Gull, took a longer recess to allow the jury a break after a tough morning. Okay, so they sort of blazed through some potential pertinent points there, especially regarding the sticks. Okay, because what they didn't tell you there is that if you were to see these crime scene photos for yourself, there would be several things that would strike you. Number one, the sticks are formed into bind runes. It's no fucking question about it. Okay, the sticks are extremely reminiscent of Brad Holder's Facebook page. So if you have seen Brad Holder's Facebook page, in which he takes random sticks in the woods and forms runes and takes photographs of those sticks on the ground in the shape of various runic symbols, this is what was on top of both girls, and oddly enough, on top of a pool of blood near them. Why that is never raised as a very pertinent point, I don't know. Now, am I saying that it was people obsessed with runes or runic formations or bind runes that killed the girls? No, not saying that, although it's possible. What I am saying is that whoever put those girls there where they were ultimately found put sticks on them in the formation and imitation of bind runes, exactly like Brad Holder was doing. So it's either the fact that Brad Holder or somebody like him put those sticks on the bodies, or someone was trying to set up someone like Brad Holder, therefore put sticks on the bodies similar to the way that Brad Holder would. So another odd thing, you have a pool of blood with a bind rune on top of the pool of blood, exactly like the one that was on top of Abby. Now, why they leave that out? No clue. No clue. I tell you this much. The fact that they at first tried to have people believe uh, that those sticks fell on the girls is absolutely ridiculous. Okay, absolutely ridiculous to have you try to make you think that those sticks fell on the girls. Secondly, to try to make you believe that some perpetrator was trying to hide the bodies with those sticks, absolutely ridiculous. Those sticks provide no coverage of those bodies. Very minimal portion. I would say 15% of their bodies covered with sticks. Okay. Additionally, you have thousands of leaves all around because the leaves have fallen. Okay. Anyone could have, in wanting to hide the bodies, you could have hidden the bodies with leaves by just scooping up thousands of leaves right on top of the bodies. It could have been done. Okay. So that's my opinion on that. Let's continue. We'll continue with the after lunch. Okay. See if I find my spot here. Okay, here we go. It says, during a heated cross exam between defense attorney Brad Rozzi and Jason Page, Rozzi asked several questions regarding the unspent bullet. The bullet is one of the main pieces of evidence investigators say ties Allen to the crime. What a joke. What a joke. Oh, did it say 3%? You see what I mean? It's very minimal. Very minimal. Okay. Razi asked why there weren't more photos taken of the bullet on the ground. I've been asking this for 6 months to a year now. And why there are no pictures of the bullet while it was being removed from the ground and after it was removed from the scene. Isn't that standard operating procedure? You don't take pictures of the collection of evidence? Attorneys raised several questions about the sticks and branches found on and around the girls' bodies during Monday's sessions. Photos of Libby's body, the sticks and blood found in the area, were shown in court. The defense questioned investigators on whether they think the sticks may have been placed there by someone. Page said it was reasonable to believe it was placed there by a human act. You don't think? Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, the third witness called to the stand Monday was Dewan Dotsman. He was an ISP crime scene technician at the time who was also responsible for taking photos of the crime scene. Dotsman testified to being the CSI who discovered the bullet found between the girls' bodies. He stated he was responsible for aerial photos of the crime scene from a helicopter. Dotsman was cross-examined by defense attorney Andrew Baldwin. Poignant with his questions, naturally, Baldwin tried to emphasize the defense's interest in the bullet at the crime scene, arguing that they believe more photos should have been taken of the bullet found at the crime scene. I mean, goes without saying. Would you agree with me that a bullet found at a crime scene should be photographically documented? Baldwin asked. Yes, Dotsman responded. Baldwin then asked why no videos were taken of the bullet. Dotsman said photos would be better. Baldwin was working to cast doubt on the crime scene investigation techniques. Baldwin asked, if you had to do it all over again, would you have taken a photograph of the other end of that bullet? If I had to do it, I imagine I would have, Dotsman said. Indiana State Police CSIs photographed the scene, testifying to hundreds of images taken to preserve what the scene looked like and the evidence. The big question was why they didn't take the sticks and branches originally from the crime scene that were found on Abby's and Libby's bodies. This is after Dotsman testified to coming back to the crime scene in March to retrieve the branches they had moved off the bodies of Abby and Libby. Dotsman said, for the most part, those branches were of very rough texture and they were crumbly. I'm not confident DNA would have transferred well. What the hell are you talking about? Those sticks would have been one of the best places for touch DNA to scrape off of your hands onto the rough texture of the bark. So Gaslights here, he says, we can't go picking up every stick and every leaf that is in the forest there just because they might have a drop of blood on it, Dotsman said. Pig roast. So Dotsman, I'm going to roast you right now. You're a fucking pig. You know why? Why are you being sarcastic, smarty pants, combative on the witness stand in the murder of two little girls? You had sticks placed on their dead bodies in a very bizarre fashion, and you didn't see fit to pick those sticks up and take them with you? Let me repeat his bullshit statement here, because you guys in Indiana need to hold your residents of Indiana responsible for the bullshit they pulled with this investigation of Abby and Libby's murder. We can't go picking up every stick and every leaf that is in the forest there just because they might have a drop of blood on it, Dotsman said. Bullshit. You should have taken every stick and you should have had a vacuum and vacuumed up all the leaves surrounding the bodies in that immediate vicinity. Sir, you're a pig. The state called Brian Olehi, I assume is how you pronounce it, an ISP crime scene investigator, to the stand. Olehi was responsible for photographing the crime scene. He explained how ISP took pictures of the crime scene and the way it was when they found it before carefully removing items, individually packing them, except for the fucking sticks, and sending them to an ISP lab to store them. All witnesses were asked if they had weapons on them that day they were at the crime scene. 2 of them stated they were not carrying them. This is a point driven heavily by the defense, who say it could be possible that the bullet at the crime scene could have come from a law enforcement officer's weapon, not Allen's. During Olay's testimony, he shared crime scene photos of Abby and Libby's bodies. In the photos, Olay testified to Abby wearing Libby's jeans that were muddy and wet. Yes, they were. He testified to silt or dirt being on Abby's clothing and feet despite her having a shoe on. Olehi also stated that they found Libby's phone and shoe under Abby's body. His testimony described the way blood splatter was found on the bodies. During these photos, sorry. The family could be audibly heard crying, sharing tissues, and comforting each other. Olay shared a bit about their efforts to preserve evidence, describing their chain of custody. So let's back this up. He testified to silt or dirt being on Abby's clothing and feet, despite her having a shoe on. Okay, what does that tell you? Come on, let's just think here. It tells you that Abby must have been barefoot at some point out there. Does it mean where the bodies were found? No. It could have been over by Wilson Bridge, where I believe they were. At the shack, at the cave. It could have been closer to the creek near the crime scene. Wherever it was, Abby clearly was barefoot at some point, such that she had dirt and silt on the bottoms of her feet before a shoe was put back on the foot. They ignored 3 good cops that actually did investigating, and they killed one. Rest in peace, Greg Ferenczi. Judge Gull ended the court session during Olay's testimony just before 6, after a sidebar conversation with the attorneys. Yeah, so how's that for some pigs? What's up, nobody, nothing? Didn't get the notification. That's what everyone is saying that today. Sorry, didn't get the notification. Oh, Muddy and Bloody is never seen on Harvester camera. You know what else ain't seen on Harvester camera? Rick Allen's car. That's right. We learned that today. We'll be getting to that later. Uh, they said you couldn't make out the driver, you couldn't make out the license plate, you could barely make out the make and model. Well, I have a deductive reasoning question for you, ladies and gentlemen. How did they make out Kelsey Germans? Are you talking about the car? Yeah. So how, if you can't make out that it's clearly Richard Allen driving that car and it's clearly his car and it's his license plate, how do you make out that it's Kelsey German's car, Kelsey German's license plate, Kelsey German driving, or those two victims in the vehicle traveling with her? Oh, thank you, Amy. Yes, good pointer there. If you're here on the backup channel, please go ahead and hit your notifications to on. I apologize to you guys. I've been deciding to do a few of these lives on the backup channel. So please make sure your notification bell is set to all for the backup channel, this one we're on now as well. Um, so this is what I'm getting at. Okay, this is what I'm getting at. Okay. Let's go on to day 4. I don't want to delay too long tonight. But welcome in everyone who's coming in. Thanks, Bill, for coming in, and Shawshank, and oh, who else is in here? Carol, Kayla. Thanks to you guys for coming in. Please enjoy the chat. Hey, nobody freak out. Your wrench isn't gone. You're on the backup channel where I probably never gave you a wrench. Okay, so give me a break here. Just calm down. I'll give you a wrench. But let's get through this. Let's see. Day 4 of the Delphi murders trial began Tuesday morning with a lengthy presentation of evidence introduced by the state of Indiana. Okay. What's up, Donnie? What's up, Sunflower Soul? Allen is charged with the murders of Libby German and Abby Williams in February 2017. Crime scene investigator Brian Olay took the stand as a witness for the prosecution. We are calling him a pig. James Luttrell, a corrupt prosecutor for the state of Indiana, questioned the witness, the pig. During the questioning, Olay went through a long list of items that were found at and around the crime scene where the girls' bodies were found. Some of the evidence included a Converse shoe, a shoe found on the body of Abby, a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson cartridge, an unspent round, a collection of strands and fibrous materials, swabs of blood, the girls' bodies, and of course they left the sticks. Olay explained how the items were documented by crime scene investigators and how they were protected for future use, saying that no items were ever packed or stored with any other items. Richard Allen took notes at the defense table as dozens of pieces of evidence were introduced. The testimony turned to the items collected during an autopsy. There were several sexual assault evidence kits entered as evidence for Abby Williams and Libby German, as well as various articles of clothing the girls were wearing when their bodies were found. Remember, only one body was found wearing clothing. That other clothing was found discarded into the creek. And let me say this before we go any further, because we use critical thinking skills here, and we keep everything in mind. Those clothing in the creek may have not ended up there authentically. Those clothing in the creek could be a part of the staging, meaning they are placed where they were found, thrown into the creek to establish a sort of scenario in the viewer's mind, or in the law enforcement's minds, or in the public's minds. Just like those girls were placed there with sticks placed on top of them to establish something in the finder's minds, those clothing in the creek could have equally been placed in that creek to establish something in your mind. Doesn't mean they're in the creek out of the natural progression of the commission of this crime. Upon cross-examination by Allen's attorney, Brad Rossi asked Ole if the Smith & Wesson bullet found at the crime scene is one of the most common rounds. Ole responded, "I would say no." There were several follow-up questions regarding what the defense calls the magic bullet, a .40 caliber Smith & Wesson round. Ole said no specific photos were taken of the ground after the round was removed. He said there were no photos taken of the round itself after it was removed. The defense attorney asked, "Did you do a poor job of documenting this piece of evidence? Do you wish you would have taken more pictures?" Ole replied, "No." Interesting. Razi presented the swabs to Olehi and asked if any of the information on them was a link to Mr. Allen. Olehi said no. Olehi was asked about the integrity of the crime scene and private information and whether he was aware of information about a breach of the crime scene. He also stated from the stand that he did not think the way the sticks were found on the bodies was an attempt to communicate something. What is this guy doing as a crime scene tech for the Indiana State Police? Remember, ladies and gentlemen, these are not the podunk Delphi Police Department crime scene techs, if even such a thing exists. These are Indiana State Police crime scene techs. Indiana State Police crime scene techs. Now, are they really this negligent? Or is this a cover-up? He also stated from the stand, I've already read that. He stated that he didn't think the sticks on the bodies were an attempt to communicate something. Trust me, the day will come when all of you out there will see for yourselves the crime scene photos and you will make the judgment for yourselves whether or not those sticks were placed there to communicate something or not, which is going to make this guy look like an idiot. The jury did have an opportunity to ask questions. One of the questions was whether the undergrowth appeared to be disrupted under the body. Olehi said, I don't recall any area disturbed beyond movement of the body. Whatever that means. The early afternoon session on Tuesday focused on another main piece of evidence in the Delphi murders trial. It is a video of the girls and the bridge guy that was taken on Libby German's phone. Indiana State Police Lieutenant Brian Bunner, a digital forensic expert, testified about his role in examining information captured from the phone. Testimony began with State Exhibit 182, a Google Earth map illustration that includes measurements of the area of the Delphi High Bridge. Lieutenant Bunner discussed digital forensics and other categories involving dissecting evidence. He specializes in data captured from cell phones and computers, specializes being the operative word here. Bunner testified that when a cell phone like Libby's is taken for evidence, they start with a manual examination of the phone's exterior. Bunner said numerous photos of the phone were taken before they tried to extract any data taken from it. Did they do fingerprints? Investigators then extracted the data and used the processing software called Celebrite to put the information into a readable format. The first report on the iPhone 6S was processed on February 15, 2017. Lieutenant Bunner said the phone was not turned on when he received it. The battery was not charged and had to be charged to process. Investigators were given the passcode to the phone. How? Wait a minute. Who knew the passcode to the phone? Well, this clearly means that one of the family members knew the passcode to the phone. Something to keep in mind for future reference. Bunner's first exam is called Method 1 Technology. It pulls messages, voicemails, internet browsing history, photos, and more. For an iPhone, that data is plugged into a computer, then extracted through Celebrite. Okay. Nicholas McClellan asked if Lieutenant Bunner looked through the entire report. The entire report was several hundred pages long. It went through every single line by line. That would take forever. No, if we went through. So in other words, if we're thorough, we don't have time to be thorough. We're the ISP. Of course, we don't have time to be thorough here. It's just a double homicide of two preteens or two young teenagers. Time was of the essence. We wanted to get this incomplete cursory data back to investigators as soon as possible. So they looked at the last user activity, said Lieutenant Bunner. So they didn't care. Basically, they didn't care. Okay. McClellan asked if he looked at the camera on the phone and why. Lieutenant Bunner said the timeline report showed a video. It was a video taken at 2:13 p.m. on February 13, 2017, the day Abby and Libby were last seen alive. The video, which lasted only 35 to 40 seconds, was shown on a large television monitor in the courtroom. The video shows Libby filming herself and Abby on the Delphi High Bridge. At one point, the camera points up, and you can see there is no one behind Abby. However, in a later shot, it shows a man walking behind her. That man has been called the Bridge Man. We're going to get into dissecting that in a moment. Just hold on. Just keep. Let's read that again, and I want you to keep that in mind, because when we start talking about the dissection of how many seconds, your mind's going to be blown. Okay. The video showed Libby filming herself and Abby on the Delphi High Bridge. At one point, the camera points up and you can see there is no one behind Abby. However, in a later shot, well, hold on. First of all, this is contiguous, right? This is one brief video. Okay, you're saying that, so at the moment, they're saying it's 43 seconds, right? Or whatever. We'll get to that. So this is one shot. But the way they phrase this is weird. However, in a later shot, it shows the man walking behind her. So that man has been called the bridge man. You mean bridge guy. Okay, so hold on. So they're doing a selfie, little short video. The guy's not there. And out of nowhere, he suddenly appears. A girl's voice is heard on the video, and when Libby's mother heard the voice, she started to cry and became very emotional. The young lady was talking as she was walking at the end of the bridge. Reporters in the court heard the voice say, "There's no path. The trail ends here, so we have to go down here." Doesn't it make you think that they were trying to meet someone, that someone told them to meet them at the end of the bridge? Kind of makes me feel that they were going to meet someone and they didn't even know where they were going, because obviously they hadn't been there before. It seems to be a surprise to them that the path ends there and there's no path. Several reporters said the tone of the comment sounded like a question. Shortly after the girl's voice stops, reporters in court say they heard a voice believed to be a man, but it was unclear what was said. The video from the bridge was not enhanced, and it was only played once for the jury to watch and hear. There were several screenshots displayed of the man in the video behind Abby. They were shown to the jury. ISP investigators received the phone back on February 21st, 2017. Lieutenant Bunner testified, knowing it was an ongoing case the first time we did it, quickly. I wanted to use everything I had so I could get everything off the phone. Lieutenant Bunner said the second time didn't produce any new information. He ran method 2 and method 3 on the iPhone 6S. Each level pulled some new information from the phone, but Lieutenant Bunner said that the new information was minimal and did not add anything beneficial to the case. Well, what was it, though? In September 2017, ISP investigators sent the phone to the Department of Homeland Security because it had advanced forensic tools. No kidding. In 2019, another examination of the phone was done. They hoped that new technology might uncover some new information from the phone. Defense attorney Jennifer Auger led the cross-examination of Bunner. She started with questions regarding when the reports were created and why. Jurors had 8 questions after Bunner's testimony. You see that? Let's compliment our jury here on the thoroughness and curiosity and attention that they are paying. 8 questions is a lot. Don't you think? 8 questions is a lot about this one thing. Okay. Earlier in the day, the prosecution played a video clip that was taken from Libby's phone. The audio and video had not been enhanced on the phone. Later in the day, an audio video technician from the ISP named Jeremy Chapman took the stand. He was responsible for enhancing the audio and video from the phone that was widely shared with the media as authorities looked for Bridge Guy. Okay. Judge Gull allowed the enhanced version of the video to be played in court. It was about 45 seconds long. They played the video in its entirety a second time. In the video, the girls are heard saying, "See, this is the path. There is no path. We have to go down here." I'm sorry. I misread that. "See, this is the path. There is no path. We have to go down here." It's a question. Shortly after, a man's voice says, "Guys, down the hill." Chapman explained his role as an examiner. He said he pulled 3 frames of still images of Bridge Guy. He cleaned those up by adjusting the contrast and brightness of the images. He also used de-blurring and filters to enhance the photos. Rayleigh Voorhees. Okay, so let's stop there. The enhancements are bullshit. Okay, bullshit. So first point to understand, enhancements, bullshit. Okay, all that matters is the original. Now, if this video is 45 seconds long, why is it 30 seconds long? Here's my opinion. Isn't it more likely that if these girls are photographing a guy who's far away, his mouth is not moving when the words are said, wouldn't it kind of make sense that the person that says "down the hill" is right behind them? Maybe that person came up on them while they were distracted with the Bridge Guy. So they become a little distracted in those seconds looking at this Bridge Guy. Does someone from right approach them from behind and take control of them? Okay. Now, we're going to move on. Just give me a moment here. I mean, maybe that's the guy in all black. Is that the guy in all black? That's what I'm saying. Welcome in, AKR3121. Welcome. Yeah, they had to be close to be heard. Bottom line. Now, here we're going to move on to actually one of the few good things. Okay, so here we have Rayleigh Voorhees. Rayleigh Voorhees. Okay, she comes up. She was the first of 2 young ladies called to testify. She says she was walking on the trail with her sisters and a friend and taking photos near the Monon High Bridge on February 13, 2017. Or was it sister? At the time of the murder, she was 16 years old and attended Delphi High School. Voorhees said she was friends with Libby and Abby on Snapchat. Voorhees showed the jury the path she took to the bridge on a map. The trail was across from Freedom Bridge and across from Monon High Bridge. While walking along the trail to go home, she said she didn't see anyone on the path past Freedom Bridge. However, she said she did pass a man who did not wave back at her and did not seem to be a happy person near Freedom Bridge. Voorhees said she was supposed to be home by 2:30 that afternoon. Voorhees provided this description of the man she passed. She said he was overdressed for the weather, Caucasian, a larger man with a big build, wearing dark clothes, had his face covered by a running mask over his nose and mouth, walking with his hands in his pockets, wearing a hat, muscular, dirty blonde hair, brown eyes, wrinkly kind of face, square jaw. Okay, listen. Now's the point where you listen and you utilize some critical thinking skills. A larger man with a big build. Does that sound like Richard Allen? Richard Allen, the tiny man with the small build. Muscular. Does that sound like Richard Allen? Wrinkly kind of face. Does that sound like Richard Allen? Square jaw. Square jaw. Does that sound like Richard Allen? So hold on. Larger man with big build. Muscular. Wrinkly kind of face with a square jaw. Sounds like the person my train guy described. Remember, my train guy said that the person he saw who matched the sketch of old bridge guy looked like he could rip your arms off? During cross-examination, she was questioned about what she originally told police the man she saw on the trail looked like. She testified that despite what she said when she was 16, she was certain the man she saw on the trail was bridge guy. She also said she is 5'7" tall and that bridge guy was taller than her. Does that sound like Richard Allen? So she's 5'7", and this guy, not only was he larger man with big build, muscular, with a wrinkly face and a square jaw, but he was taller than 5'7". Bridge guy wasn't Richard Allen. Okay? Wake up call. Bridge guy was not Richard Allen. Defense attorney Jennifer Auger asked, around 5'10", and Voorhees replied, yes. 5'10" is 5 entire inches taller than Richard Allen. 3 more witnesses were called to the stand on Tuesday. The first was Breanne Wilbur, who was a student at Delphi High School in 2017. She was friends with Kelsey German, Libby's sister. She testified to being with Kelsey when finding out Libby was missing. Bree Wilbur shared she was on the trail February 13th. During testimony, she shared that she remembered walking past a man while walking back toward the start of the trail. She described the man she identified as Bridge Guy as creeping her out while he walked with a purpose. Wilbur shared she posted a photo to Snapchat of the bridge that day, and Libby messaged her asking if she was at the trail. She replied they had left 10 minutes prior. She said the man caught her attention on the trail that day because it was a warmer day and he was dressed in many layers, walking with a purpose, which gave me weird vibes. Wilbur's testimony ended during shortly after cross-exam, where she described Bridge Guy as 20s to 30s, a taller man. Would someone describe Richard Allen as a taller man? Would anyone describe Richard Allen as a taller man? It ain't going to happen. Something covering his mouth. Blue or black jacket. Couldn't see his hair. Muscular. Wearing something on his head. Okay. 20s, 30s. Taller man. Muscular. Oh, doesn't that sound like Rayleigh Voorhees? Taller. Muscular. Let's go to Rayleigh Voorhees. Let me hit those points again. I mean, because this shit right here, Richard Allen cannot be Bridge Guy. Okay. Anyway, I've lost the Rayleigh Voorhees, but you heard what I was saying. She said, okay, taller, muscular, square jaw, wrinkle face. Now this guy's 20s, 30s, taller, muscular, Bridge Guy. Okay, so yeah, looks like these young ladies who are now women, these young women, they witnessed Bridge Guy. Okay. They didn't witness Richard Allen. Therefore, Bridge Guy cannot be Richard Allen. Wilbur testified that she believed the man she saw walking on the bridge was the man seen in the photo shared by investigators, Bridge Guy. Next was Betsy Blair. She does not live in Delphi, but walked the trail regularly. She testified to seeing Abby and Libby on the trail the day they went missing. Although we're going to ignore the fact that for years prior, she said she wasn't sure that she believed she saw who could have been Libby and Abby. Understand? Her testimony shared details on the path she would regularly take on the trail. She says on February 13th, 2017, she was walking the trail when she noticed a man on the bridge. Blair described the man she saw as Bridge Guys. Her testimony detailed that she was about 50 feet away from the man on the bridge. He was out on a platform, and he looked at me like he was expecting someone. It didn't seem like he was looking for me. She described the man as Caucasian, 20s to 30s. Oops. Am I going to have to reload this? Oh, man, come on. Sorry, I have to reload it. It's glitching. Got a little glitch, but welcome in everyone who's coming in. Hard Candy, Big J Dick, what's up? All right, Kayla, what's up? All right, we're getting down to the reload here. I don't know why this thing is doing this to me. Okay. Now, where were we? Come on, you're messing up my presentation here. Can we continue? All right, let's see. Brown, poofy hair. Younger, boyish looking, youthful, average height, no facial hair. Okay. No facial hair. Blair said she only saw the man for a moment. When asked by the jury if the poofy brown hair could have been a hat, she said it's possible. Blair also said the man she saw on the bridge is the man in the photo released by the police of Bridge Guy. Now remember, she's 50 feet away. The final witness to testify was Pig Steve Mullen, who talked about the vehicles that were at Hoosier Harvest Store. Mullen is the lead investigator for the Carroll County prosecutor. He testified to time stamps of cars driving past Harvest Store toward the trail. All right. So, what's up, Adrian? All right. Yeah. Thank you, Spencer. Listen, it's my point I was getting at in the opening is that the prosecution is basically presenting the defense's case for them at this point. I mean, remember, this was the day, I believe this was day 4, I believe. We were on day 4, okay? We're going to get to day 5 now, but imagine all that we just heard was prosecution presenting their case. I mean, you can't make this shit up. Look, yes, the girl saw Bridge Guy. No, Richard Allen's not Bridge Guy. That's why it's a pig roast. All right, but you guys get ready. Because now comes the one witness that they have who is also a pig. It's an attention-seeking, irresponsible, immature, nasty, disgusting, compromised witness, and that is Sarah Carbo. It's a pig roast, so let's roast her because she deserves it. Day 5 of Delphi Murders trial included testimony from a witness who claims to have seen Bridge Guy. On the day Abby and Libby went missing, February 13, 2017. On Wednesday, the state called witness number 19, Sarah Dirty Carbo. Okay. Whoops. Did I click an ad? All right. Here we go. She gave testimony that lasted around an hour. You guys get ready for this one. She starts off with the bullshit gaslight in this way. She describes herself as local as you can get. In other words, trust me, I'm credible. Trust me, I'm credible. As local as you can get, Sarah Carbo. She testified that around 4 p.m., she saw a man covered in mud and blood walking alongside the road. Mud and blood. Suddenly, the blood appears. I looked at him, but he did not make eye contact with me. She said from the stand, I'm going to label him Bridge Guy because that's who I know him by, she added. I'd like to add that you talk like a 19-year-old. How old are you? Later, Carbaugh said she was at home when she heard about an Amber Alert. Wait, I thought there was no Amber Alert. Carbaugh said she recognized the man shown in a photo on the local news as the man she had seen on the road. Oh, so did you see Bridge Guy? Did you? Carbaugh did not immediately come forward to talk with authorities. She eventually talked with local police investigators 3 weeks later. Tells you how much she gave a care about those two dead little girls. She said she had been traumatized by the murders. My inaction was me overthinking and panicking. I was having a moment. You were having 3 weeks. Okay. Carbaugh saw a police officer at a roadblock in Delphi asking for tips regarding the case. She called that a sign from God to report what she saw that day. During cross-examination, the defense questioned her account, claiming she changed her story during police interviews more than once. What's up, Sandy D? Welcome. Sandy D in the house, y'all. Okay. Now, what they left out here were some pertinent details. I'm going to just interject before we move on because this article is a little on the light side. It's kind of slim. Carbaugh. First 2 interviews. She says blood 0 times. But she does say mud approximately 16 times in one, and I believe 11 or 13 times in another. She says mud. She says blood 0 times. Then, magically, in 2019, I believe, she says blood 16 times and says mud 0 times. Something like that. You get the gist of it. The mud turned to blood. Oh, was it 19? 19 times? You get the gist of it. Sarah Carbow's sign was to say what she was told after rolling over her boyfriend. Yeah. Not to mention the fact that she's going how fast? How good of a look did she get at this alleged blood? You know what else they left out? They left out the fact that the jacket she described was tan on that person. Muddy and tan. Muddy from the knees down and tan. But suddenly, suddenly from the knees down turns to blood in 2019, and the jacket turns to blue. Forensic pathologist Dr. Roland Kaur. Here's another winner. This is the hog roast, and this particular day, if you guys wondered why I was really upset the other day, this is the reason. When I was saying F, I was dropping F bombs like it was gone out of style. I was dropping the F-bombs like it's going out of style because of this day right here that I'm reading. Roland Corr, who performed the autopsies on the bodies of Williams and German, was the next person to take the stand Wednesday. Corr had served as the Carroll County coroner in Terre Haute. He had said he had done 77,000 to 78,000 autopsies in his entire career. Corr was called as a witness for the prosecution. His testimony began with a 30-minute narration of what goes into doing an autopsy and what the examiner is trying to learn. The autopsy revealed Williams had a 5 to 6 centimeter long wound, approximately 2 inches, on the left side of her neck. However, Dr. Corr said it was not a deep cut, only an inch deep. In the doctor's words, he stated there was some skin damage to the right side, which he believes suggests the cut was made from right to left. Dr. Corr observed livor mortis on Abby's bodies, which he described as a purplish or purplish areas where blood settles down, okay, after a body has been in the same position for a prolonged period. He says they found livor mortis on Abby's upper back and the back of her legs. Okay, which tells you this. She was laid there for a while. Okay, she was laid there for a while. She'd been laying on her back position for long periods of time after death, he said. Corr said livor mortis sets in after a person has been dead for at least 8 hours. Okay, but what they didn't say is this. They didn't say that she could have been laid out somewhere else for 8 hours, like Wilson Bridge, picked up and moved and placed where she was found on Ron Logan's property, and then found relatively shortly thereafter. Corr said there was something that looked like a smear on one of William's arms. He says that may have come when she was given Libby's sweatshirt. Well, whatever, that doesn't make fucking sense. We're not going to assume any switching of clothes. We're not going to assume any of that. Many of the people in the courtroom were visibly shaken as photos of the autopsies were shown on the large screen television. Family members cried often, and observers said one juror had a hard time looking at the screen for more than a few seconds. It looked like he was going to throw up. Corr also testified about the autopsy he did on Libby. He said German had 4 wounds on her neck and possibly a 5th. Let me stop there, because one thing we do when we take an accounting of the facts of this case, we always take a thorough, sober accounting of similarities and differences. And as you know, with these 2 victims, there were nothing but differences. Okay, nothing but differences. For instance, Abby has one small 2-inch incision on the side of her neck. Surgical in nature, almost as if the intention was to drain her of her blood. Let's be real here. Surgical. Libby had 4 wounds on her neck and possibly a 5th. 2 of those wounds overlapped. Core observed that there was an X-like pattern in the larger wound on German's neck. Core says it's likely there were 2 passes made that resulted in that wound. He was unsure of what he called the middle wound. He believed it could have been a second pass with the weapon, but wasn't certain. He also noted a few small abrasions below German's neck. He observed there were changes in the pattern of cuts and said if a person was drawing away as they were being cut, it could cause some changes. There were 5 marks on the edge of the wound on the right side of Libby's neck. Those marks were 1 millimeter wide with a space between them. Core initially surmised that a serrated knife was used to make the cuts, but he says he thought about the cut marks in the past few months. This is once he's compromised. He now believes a box cutter, due to the suggestion of prosecutor Nicholas McClelland, was used as the weapon. This is called corruption. He said he did not create a supplemental report because he felt it would be speculative but not definitive. Then why are you saying it to the jury? Okay, so what we're looking at is a vicious attack, not a surgical attack, as on Abby. We're looking at with Libby is a vicious attack, one in which she's pulling away or struggling. Core was asked by an attorney what happens to a body with wounds like these. He responded, bleeding would not be under pressure. It would be slower. It would happen over several minutes. As blood volume drops significantly, the body will go into shock, organs will lose function, person loses consciousness, but will not be dead right away. The doctor estimated what he called a very ballpark timeline for expiration that was based on the position of the body. Still sitting would take longer to lose enough blood, at least 5 to 10 minutes, maybe longer. Laying down would go faster than standing up. As for Libby German, Core said her blood loss was more rapid than Williams and estimated she would have gone into shock more quickly because of that. He also testified she had blood on her hands, which she did. He estimated German would have died in 5 to 10 minutes, but guessed it likely would have been closer to 5 based on the severity of her injuries. Dr. Core also noted that German had swelling of her brain due to loss of oxygen. Neither of girls had any signs of sexual trauma. Doesn't mean that there was not sexual contact. Neither girl had defensive wounds. Core testified he did not see any crime scene photos until this year. What in the actual hell? This was after his report had been issued. So here's a question for you. What value is that report or those reports, having never seen the crime scene photos? The doctor could not determine the exact type of weapon. Nor the length of the blade, but said anything from a pocket knife to a kitchen knife to Abby. Hold on. What type of pathologist is this? What type of pathologist cannot determine what type of weapon? Or the length of a blade? I mean, you're claiming to have done 77,000 autopsies, which is is like exponentially beyond what anyone would ever think. Maybe you mean 7,700 or 770. But you can't decide between a box cutter or a machete. Sounds like you're a pig. We're roasting pigs, and you, sir, have been declared a pig. For Libby, the doctor suggested she was dragged from another location based on debris found on her legs. Well, finally, a good piece of information. Well, at least you got 1 out of 10. What's up, Jessica? Welcome. Thanks for the nice comments. He also said the serrated area of the wound could be from the handle of an instrument or weapon. What? During redirect, defense attorney Brad Rozzi asked court, "You can't say a box cutter was used?" Court responded, not definitively no. During a redirect, an attorney for the state of Indiana, a corrupt piece of shit, asked, "What is the minimum number of knives that could cause all of these wounds?" Court responded, 1. Of course, 1 is a minimum, but it's probably 2. Okay. Just because there are other marks doesn't mean it was a different instrument. Sounds like you don't know what you're talking about. Sounds like you actually don't know what you're talking about, doctor. Okay. After lunch, the final witness was called. Okay. They're all, oh, this is a pig roast. It's supposed to be a Friday night party, and here we are roasting pigs. Final witness called was ISP Sergeant Christopher Cecil. He says he has examined digital evidence for hundreds of cases during his 20-year law enforcement career. Cecil volunteered to re-examine Libby's iPhone 6S. His first report was written in 2019. The phone had been examined several times in 2017 after it was found near the girls' bodies. You mean under Abby's? Data revealed Abby and Libby each accessed social media accounts on the phone February 13, 2017. So they shared the phone, is what you're saying. Data from Apple Health app said the last time the phone logged movement was at 2:32 p.m. This is the time of Libby's phone interactions. Okay, and there's a big list. I'm not going to go all through it. Okay, but basically, here's the anomaly. Okay, here's the anomaly here. We get to .207, phone unlocked. Yeah, was it a sharp knife or dull, or was it, was it serrated or not? It's all bullshit. Okay. Jessica's and the doctor didn't mention a box cutter until Richard Allen supposedly said he used a box cutter. Didn't we all see through that, right? Yeah. After McClellan probably told him you have to say box cutter, then we get to box cutter. You see how this works? And yeah, a 1-inch wound, a 2-inch wide, 1-inch deep wound on Abby's neck that's surgical in nature. Yeah, I could see a don't you understand? Box cutters are razors. So yeah, I could see that being a razor. Of course, you could make the case that it's a razor. Thank you, Rebby Lee, and it's a new day for the super stickers. I'm going to take scared, shitless, compromised, corrupt pathologist for 500, please. 213, 43-second long video. 3 seconds, 43 seconds long at 213. Okay, so we had these other guys saying 45 seconds. Okay, we're about to see someone say 30 seconds. What was shown to the jury was 30 seconds. What was told about in the prior days was 45 seconds. Well, now we get the actual deal, 43 seconds, okay? I mean, he parks back in and he uses a box cutter, and he's much shorter than Bridge Guy, so he must be Bridge Guy. We need more likes, please. Yeah, please hit the like, and please join the chat. If you're just watching, why are you just watching? Join the chat. There's plenty of nice, smart people in the chat. Please join it. Thank you for donating. Yes, I appreciate your donations. It makes me be able to continue to get the energy to get up on here. But he could have known in the beginning the difference between a razor blade or a thick blade pocket or hunting knife. Yeah. All right, so let's move on. Here's an interesting one for you. There's some anomalies here in Mr. Cecil's assumptions, okay? There's anomalies, and it really doesn't make sense here when I'm reading. Oh, thank you, Amy. You're so sweet. Amy's my main mod, and she's contributing. And you don't have to do that, Amy. Thank you so much. Friday Night Challenge, support it. It's fun. Thank you. All right, listen. What am I getting at? I don't want to get too distracted. Let's see. $11:32 p.m. Okay, there's a notation here. 11. Now just think here. Think. 11:32. Phone likely died. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is a Indiana State Police digital forensics expert. 11:32 p.m. Phone likely died. Let me back up. We know the last ping was at 5. What is it, guys, in the chat? 5 something? 5 something? Okay. 5 something p.m. The phone dies. No. Sorry. Wow, this is getting confusing. You see how difficult this is? Even when you're not high? Okay. 5 something. Maybe it's 5:39. See, the thing is, they've left this out. You notice how it's left out? It's intentionally left out. Okay, so 5 something p.m. I can't remember at the moment. 5 something p.m. The phone receives its last ping. AT&T is pinging every 15 minutes. The phone doesn't ping anymore whatsoever after 5 something. This man is saying that 11:32 p.m. the phone likely died. However, our Indiana State Police digital forensics expert now says at 4:30 a.m., 15 to 20 text messages come in all at once. Well, hold on. How do those 15 to 20 text messages come into the phone at 4:33 a.m. all at once if the phone had died. Don't you see how this, like, this is what's being presented to the jury, that the phone died at 11:32 p.m. after not receiving any of the pings since 5 something p.m. And then magically at 4:30 p.m., 4:30 a.m., although the phone, you are telling the jury, has been dead since 11:30 p.m., you're saying magically 5 hours later it's not dead, but you just told the jury it's dead. This is what's being presented to the jury. Hey, Cindy, I don't interact much because it causes me to miss what you're saying. Bridge guy's now taller, younger, more bouffant hair. Richard Allen with a beautiful face and feminine eyes. And he's muscular and very tall. I've got to learn how to do that and get membership. I'm watching on TV and typing on my phone. Well, trust Amy. Whatever Amy tells you, she's a good mod, so she knows how to do things. I can't even tell you. But thank you, Tom, for being a wonderful viewer and nice. And maybe Amy will help you out. Let's see, 4:33 a.m. Yeah. Yeah, you see what I mean about this doesn't make sense whatsoever. It's like you're lying to the jury, or at a very minimum, you're misleading them. Or yeah, or someone charged the phone. But how do they charge the phone? Well, what they say is that after 2:32, I believe it is. So they're basically saying at 2:32, the phone stops moving. It doesn't move at all. I mean, this. I don't know. I don't know, guys. We're gonna move on. Maybe the note taker here messed this all up. I just don't know what's going on, but it absolutely makes no sense. Thank you, Rebbe, for gifting memberships to my members or to my channel viewers. They're gonna love that. And whoever got memberships, congrats, and please thank Rebbe Lee. All right. Oh, you was trying to get one to Tom. I'm sorry about that. If Tom didn't get, I hope Tom got one. Good discussion here. Thank you, Tom. All right. All right, you guys. Yeah. Doolin must have taken the notes. That's why they're not recorded. Okay. So, anyway, let's move on from the phone. Except that, yes, if they went in the creek, wouldn't the phone have been wet? Another good point. Oh, he didn't? Well, don't worry. Don't worry, Rebbe Lee. We'll get Tom a membership somehow. I don't know how this works. Okay. So let's see. Do you understand why I was really upset that day? Okay. Now let's move on. The digital records show Brian Bunner rebooted the phone on February 15, 2017 as part of the police investigation. Cecil testified that from 2019 to 2024, there continued to be new updates of software and programs on the phone, so they attempted to pull more data from it. The phone was reprocessed. Cecil said that when Bunner plugged the phone into charge, it added small amount of data, but it did not change any information. Cecil said from the state that when Bunner shut the phone down on February 15, 2017, it would have reset the power on-off log, which prompted the defense to ask, "We will never know exactly when the phone powered off." Cecil agreed. So here, that's okay. I was looking for my next milepost or red flag, and that's the next red flag. Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks, Rebby. All right. So the next red flag is that Cecil said that when Bunner shut the phone down on February 15, 2017, it would have reset the power on off log. Is that true, though? So the bottom line, though, of this red flag is that we'll never know when the power was turned off on the phone because we don't have the power on off log anymore. It seems to have been mysteriously disappeared. Okay. 23 devices taken from the home of Richard Allen on November 8, 2022 were examined by Cecil. He said data recovered showed no communication between these devices and Williams or German, but we know Keegan Klein and Anthony underscore Shots had it. Right? Cecil added there were no connections to Allen having any connection to the girls' deaths. Cecil testified that he did, however, find an internet search, singular, regarding Abby and Libby in news articles on one of Allen's devices. Well, oh, heavens. He must have killed those two girls because he Googled Abby and Libby one time in his entire, what was it, 23 devices. A resident of Delphi, one time on one device in 7 years, Googled Abby and Libby. That's all that's all they had from Richard Allen's devices. Yeah, exactly. Good point, Ashley. Thank you. And the devices of his family members. Now, here's another good sign, okay? Another good sign, I mean. Another good sign is that when Cecil was done, the jury asked 16 questions. 16 questions. 16. I told you we have a curious, thoughtful, engaged, or interested jury. Some of them focused on the reports generated from the data pulled from the phones. Another asked about a discrepancy between SMS messages and iMessages. Of course, he said he didn't know why any of that happened, and he had no knowledge of an AT&T outage on February 13th or 14th. Okay, but that was Cecil's contribution to that day. Okay. Okay, so just a moment, please. We're almost done here. We're getting through it. Happy Friday to everyone. And thank you for your amazing comments. It's been really nice chat here. Let's see if we can get to this. I told you that day, that was day 5. Okay. When I went live that night, I probably dropped 35 F-bombs. I was pretty upset because what a frustrating, very frustrating day. Seems like a bunch of lies, a bunch of corruption, a bunch of BS, a bunch of incompetence, just a bunch of bull, you know. But you did have Rayleigh Voorhees and Betsy Blair give you a very clear indication that they did see Bridge Guy, but you would have to be led to believe that Bridge Guy is not Richard Allen. All right. Now, moving on to day 6, we had 6 witnesses. The first witness was Kathy Shank, a retired CPS worker and volunteer who organized and evaluated approximately 14,000 tips regarding the Delphi murders. What's up, Heavy Metal Rehab? You're not late. You're just on time. You're on your time. Shank testified she started helping with the case in March 2017. The tips received by police filled 5 filing cabinets. In September 2020, she was asked to digitize that paperwork into a database. The digitization took 2 years. I know I'm going to seem like a stickler for detail or nitpicking here, but why was that not done from the get-go? Did we not have computers? Did we not have iMacs? Did we not have very powerful computers in 2017? I mean, am I the only one here that thinks it's outrageous that in 2020 they'd have to go back and work for 2 years to digitize tips that had been coming in since 2017? You would assume that there were good computers in 2017. I mean, I know I've owned several. All right. Yeah, they act like it's 1970s. I mean, they can't even grab a computer. Um, all right, moving on. She said investigators were moving buildings in 2022 when she found the box. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know I get this way, but this is where I start with the eye rolling in the back of the head and thinking, are you effing kidding me? Are you effing kidding me? You want us to believe this now? Like this reads like a bad Hollywood movie script. What's up, Dean Johnson? Welcome. All right. Okay. She found a box in a desk drawer that contained a lead sheet from February 16, 2017. It was labeled Richard Allen Whiteman. The tip indicated Allen had been on the trail on February 13, 2017. Shank testified the file had the word cleared written on it and said, I don't know how that tip ended up in that box. I don't either. I don't either, Miss Shank. I really couldn't tell you how that particular tip ended up in that particular box that you were asked to move. All right. Cleared. Shank took the tip to Tony Liggett, the lead investigator on the case. The name of the file was changed from Richard Allen Whiteman to Richard Allen on September 21st, 2022. Whiteman is the name of the street where Allen lived. The file revealed that Allen self-reported he was on the trail the last day family members saw the girls. Shank said that was the only tip provided. No. Did that tip just say that much? I wonder if that tip matches what Doolin said the tip said verbatim. Wouldn't you expect that that tip would be a direct relaying of what Doolin wrote? I wonder if that tip still exists in the paper form. I wonder if that tip just said Allen reported he was on trail. During cross-examination, defense attorney Andy Baldwin asked Shank, "Did you ever see a tip about a guy walking down the road bloody like he slaughtered a pig?" Shank answered, "Not that I know of." Okay, Baldwin, you're getting your jokes in. On redirect, prosecuting attorney Stacy Diener asked Shank, "Would a roadblock tip be given to you?" Shank answered, "Don't believe so." One jury member asked Shank how she determined the name on the original Allen file was incorrect. She responded that she put it together based on her knowledge of the town and by looking at the previous narrative. What? One jury member asked Shank how she determined the name on the original Allen file was incorrect. She responded, quote, "She put it together based on her knowledge of the town and by looking at the previous narrative." Doolin testifies. He explained to the jury that name, contact, narrative, identifying number, who provided to what officer should do, or what the officer should do, is what goes on a lead sheet. He said he picked up a lead sheet on February 18, 2017, and then called Richard Allen. He asked to meet at Allen's house, but said Allen preferred to meet in a grocery store parking lot. At the time, Doolin believed that Allen's full name was Richard Allen Whiteman. Doolin testified Allen told him he was at the High Bridge Trail on February 13, 2017 from 1:30 to 3:30. That was a change from the time he originally told police, 1 to 3. Interesting on that. Interesting, because Allen says he's gone by 1:30. But who knows? Who knows, right? Let's keep going. Allen told Doolin he parked in the Farm Bureau parking lot and that he saw 3 girls on the trails, not 4. He said he parked at the old DCS office and walked towards. No, he didn't. He said he parked at the Farm Bureaus. You see how they twisted this? So this is the media twisting. They're basically saying what Tony Liggett and McClellan wants you to believe. He didn't say he parked at the old DCS office. He said he parked in the Farm Bureau parking lot. Doolin described his encounter with Allen as brief, about 5 to 10 minutes. I would probably assume that it's closer to 5. Isn't it odd also that he normally would record this interaction, but for some reason, let's listen to this. He did not videotape or take an audio recording of the conversation. He did ask for Allen's cell phone information, including the 4-digit mobile equipment identifier number for the phone. During questioning, prosecutor Nick McClellan asked Doolin, when you spoke to Richard Allen, he told you he ran into 3 girls. Did he give you any information on which way the 3 girls were going? Not that I know of, said Doolin. Doolin did not follow up on the lead and returned it to the investigation center. In September 2022, Doolin testified he received a call from former Delphi PD Chief Steve Mullen, pig roast, asking if he had ever talked with Richard Allen. Doolin said the name didn't sound familiar to me, but I went back to the computer and typed in Richard Allen. Notes came up about an interview in February of 2017. Yeah, but oddly enough, when you search for that recording, you could not find the recording, although you record all interactions. Doolin began a search on Allen in the DNR point of sale system. That system keeps track of information gathered from hunting and fishing licenses issued by the state of Indiana. And here we're going to go with the pig roast because he's going to make a nothing burger into a something burger. It displayed Allen's phone number as well as fishing licenses for Allen and his wife. Oh, look, these people buy licenses to fish. The licenses included height, weight, and date of birth, and any changes made to the license holder's profile. Doolin learned a change had been made to Allen's height in April 2017. He had been 5'4", but it was switched to 5'6" on his fishing license. Allen's weight also dropped by 15 pounds. I just thought it was uncommon, said our pig, Dan Doolin. Hey, Doolin, don't you think if Richard Allen was going to change his height, it would be away from the height of bridge guy, not toward the height of bridge guy? Why wouldn't he bring it down to 5'3"? But here we go with Doolin incriminating him. I just thought it was uncommon. At that point, Doolin was asked to point to Allen in the courtroom. During the cross-exam, defense attorney Rozzi asked Allen if he had contacted law enforcement and how. Doolin said, I don't know how he contacted law enforcement. I just know he contacted law enforcement. Regarding the change in the fishing license information, the defense asked if Doolin knew who entered the new height and weight into the system. He responded, no. Rozzi said someone had to verify Allen's credit card information and claimed there were previous references to Allen's height as 5'6" on his license. Doolin told the court he canvassed the crime scene numerous times throughout the investigation, including during the first week of the investigation. He was there on February 17, 2017. He testified he found sticks and branches that caught his attention. He said they had blood on them and they were piled up in a 5-foot area. This was after the crime scene near the Monon High Bridge Trail had been released by authorities. Doolin testified to calling the investigation center and asking them to go back to the fucking scene and collect the sticks. I believe Doolin did one thing right here. He saw blood on some sticks at a crime scene where the brutal murder of 2 young girls had occurred, and he had the foresight to pick up his fucking phone and call investigators and said, "Come over here and get these sticks." The defense asked if Doolin immediately noticed deer stands in the woods. He responded, yes. The defense questioned how uncommon it would be to find shell casings, both spent and unspent, in the woods. Doolin said it wouldn't be to find from a rifle, but not a handgun. Defense attorney continued, is it unusual to see hunters and fishermen have handguns when they go out? No, sir, said Doolin. Good job, defense. Have you ever heard of Smith & Wesson? Questioned the attorney. Yes, responded Doolin. One juror asked if Doolin could remember what Allen's hair was like when he first interviewed Allen in 2017. He said he could not. Good question. See this jury? We have a good jury, ladies and gentlemen. Then we have another pig take the stand. Steve Mullen. He stated, Allen believed he was driving his Ford Focus when he went to Highbridge in 2017. Allen still owned the car in 2022. Let's pause here. Another question, ladies and gentlemen. If Richard Allen was indeed Bridge Guy and was indeed the person that our insane Sarah Carbo claims she saw walking on 300 and did indeed have blood from the knees down, as if he had slaughtered a hog, do you think that he would have gotten in his car, drove home, kept that car until 2022? If Richard Allen was the person that Sarah Carbaugh observed walking bloody from the knees down as if he had just slaughtered a hog, but it was 2 little girls, and he got in his car, don't you think that crime scene investigators would have found blood inside his vehicle that he had kept and not dispensed of? Allen told investigators he may have gone through the country to get to the trail that day, and if he went through the country, he would have passed a business called Hoosier Harvest Store. Seems like he doesn't even remember because it was a nothing burger when he went. Mullen said Allen told him he may have driven to the trail by traveling 300 north. Sounds like he doesn't know. When asked if he saw anyone on the trail, he said he saw women, 1 older woman and 2 younger women. Well, that doesn't sound like 3 little girls that go to school with Abby and Libby, does it? One older woman and 2 younger women. Interesting. Could that be our 3 classmates? Could that be, who is it? Collier, Mata and what's the other name? And Herrera. Could he have seen Collier, Mata, and Herrera? That's a group of three girls. Investigators asked Allen if they could see his phone. He originally agreed, but changed his mind. Like anyone would, got aggravated, and walked out of the interview. Yeah, because you're calling me a murderer. Baldwin cross-examined Mullen. He claimed nowhere in the transcript of Allen's interview did it say Allen may have driven west on 300 North. Baldwin asked Mullen to find that portion of the transcript. The court sat quietly, waiting for Mullen to answer. After 7 minutes, 7 minutes, Mullen said, "That was my interpretation." I mean, ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you the prosecution is putting on the defense's case for them, jurors had 3 questions, including, did you investigate how many black Ford Focuses are in Carroll County? Mullen responded, no. Another juror asked, did you look to see if his other car, a 2006 Ford 500, was on the video at the Hoosier Harvest Store location? Mullen responded, yes, wasn't there. They proctored the hell out of this. They have. Now here we go. You want to talk about another douche, another pig, another hog to roast. Let's do a pig roast. We are Ron Logan tonight. Let's do it. Tony Liggett, Carroll County Sheriff Tony Liggett. Boy, they thought they were gonna. Oh, y'all are gonna laugh. Y'all are gonna laugh. They really thought they were gonna. You know how a pitcher, how a pitcher can collude with a batter to set up a home run out of the park pitch. This is what McClellan thought he was doing here with old Tony Liggett. In September of 2022, he reviewed the tip found by Kathy Shank. Oh, God. Here we go. It stuck out. I wasn't aware anyone had seen 3 girls on the trail that day. We believed it was Bridge Guy. There's that word again. Believed. That word actually occurs multiple times in the PCA, both on the side of witnesses and on the side of Tony Liggett, the author. They do a hell of a lot believing, at least when it comes to Richard Allen. The jury was shown a video of Bridge Guy for a 3rd time. This time, the video was shown, had been enhanced to stabilize the man and to listen what was being said. This is the enhanced audio video. Liggett interpreted the video by saying he believes you could hear the voices of both girls in the video. He thinks Abby said, "Don't leave me up here," and Libby said something about a gun before "down the hill" was said. Family members of the victims cried as the video was played. Liggett learned Allen owned a 2016 Ford Focus and a 2006 Ford 500. He found Allen worked at CVS in Delphi. Liggett said he took pictures of Allen's car parked at the drugstore. It's a stakeout. It's a Delphi PD stakeout, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my God, dude. It's a stakeout. It's a Delphi stakeout. He goes to CVS and takes pictures of the car. That's about as deep as you're getting in an investigation in Delphi. Oh man, you can't make this shit up. Alan told them he visited his mother that day. This is the timeline, okay? Parked at the CPS lot. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. You see how this media here, this is an attempt to spin the state's narrative, okay? Let's start it over and correct this error here. Alan told them he visited his mother that day, then parked at the Farm Bureau building, that he had been on the Monon High Bridge Trail from 12 p.m. until 1:30 that day. He said he passed 3 girls on the bridge, 1 older, 2 younger, and said if he was going out of town, he would normally drive his Ford Focus because it was more reliable than his other car. Liggett believed Allen's comment about where he parked and his timeline was wishy-washy. Sheriff Liggett also testified to what was found in the September 2022 investigation when investigators executed a search warrant at Allen's house. Now, this search warrant should have never been exercised because of the fruit of the poisonous tree. He lied and misrepresented witness statements on this search warrant application. But no one's addressing the elephant in the room. We're just going to keep going with this. Okay. They're going to keep, just like they're bringing this to trial, just like right now, they're attempting to have these people produce the state's case in Maine, and it's not working. They're actually producing a case for the defense. This is what it is. This case is wishy-washy. This is what he says. Now, this is what happens. This is what they find in the house, okay? Nearly 30 knives and at least 4 box cutters. Okay, so I would say I probably have 15 in the house. And a 40 caliber handgun. I know many people have more than one. Some ammunition. Okay, if you have guns, you have ammunition. A single 40 caliber bullet in a keepsafe box in the master bedroom. I don't know why they keep making a big deal out of that. A blue Carhartt jacket. I have a tan Carhartt jacket. They're nice. They're very nice. They're very warm in the snowy winters that we get here. A gun registered to Allen was found on the nightstand, in the nightstand of the bedside. Oh, he registers his guns. Let's see. This is a guy who buys fishing licenses. He registers his gun. What was his crime? Having 23 devices and 30 knives. I guess you can't be American or live in 2024 because multiple devices, multiple knives makes you a murderer of 2 little baby girls. Okay. All right. So During cross-exam, defense attorney Razi asked Liggett if he was running for sheriff in 2017. He responded, yes. Okay. Asked how much of a pay raise Liggett would receive if he won. He responded, $50,000. Baldwin followed by asking if an arrest would increase his chances of being elected. Here's a problem. I don't think this was about money. I don't think this was about a pay raise or being elected for the sake of being elected. I think this was about losing control over the Delphi murders investigation. Because if Liggett and Lesenby and this entire contingent lost this election to Pinkard, Pinkard had already promised he was going to come in, turn that investigation inside out, call in outside agencies, including the feds, and that he was going to get some results for the case of the murders of Abby and Libby. And in my opinion, that's why they had to win this election. Not about money, not about status, about control of this sheriff's department. Let's get the motives or the strategies correct in our critical thinking. If they lost control of this investigation and Pinkard and others got their hands on it, they would find out what actually happened, and a whole people whose asses they've been covering for 7 years, or at that time, what would have been less than 7 years, 5 years, they would have lost it all. So it was essential to win that election to keep Pinkard and his prying eyes out of this investigation. And that's my opinion. Okay. But Liggett responded, "This has nothing to do with me. It had to do with two little girls." Sheriff Liggett said he knew at some point that information regarding the crime scene had been leaked. You don't say? It's been on the dark web for years, sir. The defense contends no one saw Allen on surveillance video walking where the cars were parked. That's true. Liggett said he believed Allen acted alone in this case. But guess what? That wasn't always a belief. That's what they're going with now because they're trying to run with that narrative. The defense asked, out of hundreds of thousands of pieces of evidence, digital evidence, does any tie to Richard Allen? Liggett said no. Here in America, we call that a three-pointer with grace. With grace. Let's read that again. Out of hundreds of thousands of pieces of evidence, digital evidence, does any tie to Richard Allen? Liggett said no. Slam dunk. Now, two witnesses were called Thursday. David Vito, ISP detective, assisted in the search of Allen's home. He witnessed photos being taken of the home, which also showed a Ford Focus outside. Vito told the court more than 12 phones, including outdated models, 2 pagers, and 2 SD cards, were taken from the Allen home as evidence. The defense asked Vito if it was uncommon for a hunter or fisherman to have knives. Vito also said the jacket, car, and knives were examined and tested by authorities, but nothing came back to link those items to the crime scene. Vito testified that the pair of underwear and a sock missing from the crime scene were not found at Allen's house. There was a line of questioning while Vito was on the stand about a single bullet found in the keepsafe box in Allen's bedroom. The ISP detective testified that the bullet found in the box matches the single .40 caliber Smith & Wesson bullet found at the crime scene. Sounds like Vito got up and testified for the defense, doesn't it? I mean, okay, so let's continue. Jerry Holman, another pig. Perhaps the biggest pig of all, Jerry Holman, testified he asked Allen if he wanted to fill out forms for any of the items found during the search of his home. Holman says Allen responded, "It doesn't matter, it's over." Holman said he found it interesting Allen responded in this way. Oops, am I going to have to reload? Yeah, I'm going to reload. It glitched on me. Glitched again. So here they're going with another setup. So you understand that Mullins and Vito just made the defense's case for them in their responses to these questions. You see? Now, Holman is going to come and try to Holman's going to try to come and do a little gaslighting or insinuating. You know how he does. You know how they do. Because they have zero evidence whatsoever, everything has to be an insinuation or anything like that. Okay. So let's get on down to Holman here. Thank you, Fort Pitts. Good night. Good night. Okay, let's see. Going to get to Holman. Okay, this is going to be funny here. Let's get to it. Okay, Holman says, this is turning into a long live, man. Okay, let's see. Holman testified, okay, about the thing. So the whole thing with Holman is that when he asked about paperwork, Allen said, "It doesn't matter, it's over." The defense also questioned how investigators handled the unspent bullet. They asked if photography could damage a bullet. Holman said, "Yes, depending on how it's handled." Okay. So, I mean, out of all of that, day 6 witnesses. All you got is him saying, "It doesn't matter, it's over." It doesn't matter, it's over. Well, what does that mean? That could mean anything. It could mean, that's okay, you're setting me up. I know you're setting me up. That's okay, it's over. He's frustrated. He's been out there in that car for hours or van waiting. They're searching his home, taking his belongings. It could mean the day is over. And yeah, it could also mean that he's caught red-handed. But that's the funny thing. Is he caught red-handed? There's zero. Anyway, that was day 6. Let's move on to see if we can make it through the last one here. Going to get this loaded. Hold on. Okay, I apologize for the break. I had to do a little pause for a cause. If you know what I mean, thank you for waiting. Now, all right. Last one. And this is today. Okay. This was today, day 7. So, see, we've almost caught you up with the entire trial so far. Please allow me a moment to chew down some of this gum here. All right. So let's get here to day 7. Thank you, everyone. Here, we're ready now. Day 7 of the Delphi murders trial began with the testimony of Melissa Oberg. Now, I'm going to warn you, this is excruciating. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Because she's a firearms examiner. And remember, this case is a weak case. This entirely rests upon a bullet that's unfired, and some jailhouse confessions. Anyway, this is the thing. This is supposed to be the explosive testimony about the bullet that means he murdered Abby and Libby. Okay. I'll also remind you that today, one of the 4 alternates was excused. One of the 4 alternate jurors. So, okay. Oberg took the stand as an expert for the prosecution, obviously. She said during her career, she has examined more than 66,000 weapons. Kind of sounds like that forensic pathologist, doesn't it? Like they're trying to express credibility from the jump. She was responsible for examining the single .40 caliber Smith & Wesson Winchester cartridge found at the crime scene near the Monon High Bridge Trail. The cartridge was on the ground between the bodies of Abby and Libby. No, it wasn't. It was under Abby Williams. The bodies were found on February 14th, 2017, allegedly. Good night, love songs. I wish you the best and have some good rest. And we won't be much longer. We're almost done here. The prosecution claims this unspent round ties Allen to the murder of the girls. Oberg testified for more than an hour during Friday's morning session. She discussed how a firearm works and explained the various parts of a cartridge. She demonstrated to the jury how a semi-auto pistol cycles a cartridge from the time the cartridge is in the magazine, moved into the chamber, and ultimately ejected, either automatically if the round has been fired or manually by someone racking the action. Oberg talked about her initial observation of the cartridge found at the crime scene. She said she could see 3 ejector marks on the head, 3 extractor marks under the rim, miscellaneous marks on the primer, and various particles in the rim around the perimeter. She showed a diagram of firearm parts. She said an ejector pushes the cartridge out of the magazine and an extractor pulls the cartridge out. The 2 internal tools work together. She showed 3 ways the cartridge could be ejected from the handgun. All right. Then she went on with more credibility build. This was the really frustrating point or part to me. She explained her exam process. Level 1 analysis involves checking the weapon's condition and what she calls characteristics of class. She determines if the gun is broken or working properly. She also considers biometrics and whether any parts might be broken or missing. Level 2 analysis involves test firing the weapon with live ammunition and using a comparison microscope to compare characteristics found on the cartridge shell casing. It also includes comparing the shell casings fired from Allen's SIG pistol to the bullet found at the crime scene. Level 3 is the conclusion phase. The options are 1, identification, which means the markings match; 2, inconclusive, which means there's not enough evidence; or 3, exclusion, which means the markings are not the same and do not match. Oberg testified she used a 60x magnification to observe markings on what the defense calls the magic bullet. That is, the unspent round found at the crime scene. She said unique characteristics of a specific gun surface could come from abuse, use, or corrosion. Those characteristics make unique impressions on cartridges fired by a weapon or cycled through. Looking through the microscope is like watching a movie. Pictures themselves don't represent everything we see in the exam process. Oberg compared a fired round from Allen's gun to the magic bullet. She said there were 3 specific places where the markings matched the cycled round found near the body. She said she saw 3 ejector marks on the head, 3 extractor marks under the rim of the shell casing, miscellaneous marks on the primer, and various particles in the rim around the primer. Oberg cited numerous studies in her findings. She admitted the research was not for the identical model or the extractor in Allen's pistol. Oberg said the data she collected from Allen's gun, combined with the research cited in the manufacturing process, allows her to feel confident the .40 caliber Smith & Wesson cartridge found at the crime scene had been in Allen's gun. Defense attorney Rossi objected to Oberg's testimony, arguing the examples cited were not for the exact model of Allen's gun. Judge Gull predictably chose to not overrule them, saying she would let the jury decide. Okay. The gun tested from Allen's house was a Sig Sauer P226 40. Okay. It included 1 .40 Smith & Wesson cartridge, Winchester, 1 .40 Smith & Wesson cartridge, Blazer, 2 magazines. Because Allen's gun was taken 5 years after the crime scene, ISB did a longevity test to see how the cartridges would hold up. Oberg said the longevity could depend on whether a person cleaned their gun with a brush that could break down parts of the gun. She examines Allen's gun and found no broken points. I was able to identify his gun as having cycled the unseen cartridge, Oberg said. But her statement came with heavy scrutiny from the defense, who questioned the science behind it. Her assessment, she said, was based on 4 rounds fired from Allen's gun and 6 more that were manually ejected. On cross-examination by defense, she acknowledged the markings on the cartridges manually ejected from Allen's gun were not prominent enough for her to conclude if the markings matched. The defense stated it is like comparing apples to oranges. Jurors are likely to hear from a DNA expert next. This testimony continues tomorrow. The Saturday session will be 9 to noon. Now listen. I want you to understand. Let me get rid of this gum. I want you to understand what she just told you, because I don't know if you're a shooter. I'm a shooter. What's the word? Gun aficionado. All right. Here's what she just told you. She just told you that she took a gun, Allen's. She looked at the round that's unfired, allegedly found at the crime scene where Abby and Libby were. She says she looks at it with a microscope. She then says she shot off 6 rounds. Look, let's get the number right. Hold on. I'm sorry. Okay. She shot off 4 rounds from the gun. Then she took 6 and put them in the gun, but manually ejected by racking. Okay, are you following me now? Okay, hopefully you're following. That she took the gun, she fired 4 rounds. I usually use the term let off because it's funny sounding. She let off 4 rounds. Okay. She then took 6 and just cycled them through by racking the slide and letting the unfired bullet fall out of the gun and collecting them. And what she's telling you is that those 6 that were ejected and cycled through and not fired don't match, or are not, what's the word? The markings are not prominent enough to conclude if they matched. Okay, so she cannot conclude that those 6 that she cycled through match. But she wants you to believe that the 4 that she fires through do match. Do you understand the insanity of what I'm saying? I mean, only those who shoot guns, only those who know guns would understand what I'm saying here. It's insanity. It's like this. Let me move this. There you go. Okay. So I have a gun. This is my gun. I put the magazine in. Some people call them clips. Okay. I put the clip in. I decide, no. Well, first I put the gun's empty. I have the gun. Let's see. I put the clip in. It's got rounds. First, I have to rack it. I have to rack it once to get that bullet to jump on into the chamber. Okay, so I get the bullet into the chamber. Now there's a bullet in that chamber. It's a hot gun. It's a dangerous gun. It's a kill you gun. Okay? I decide I want to empty that. I don't want that in there. So let's say if I'm going to make the gun safe again, I'm going to eject the magazine or the clip as you may want to call it. I'm going to remove the magazine, set it aside. That it has live rounds is dangerous. I'll put it over here. There's still a live round in this chamber. So then I'm going to rack it backwards. I'm going to pull it back, and that's going to allow that live round to jump on out of the gun. Now the gun is completely empty and safe. Okay? That's a cycled round that has not been fired. Okay? So she takes 6 of those. Cannot match it to the one found at the crime scene, which is also unfired. The insanity in it, though, is that then she takes the magazine, she pops it in, she racks it, and she shoots 4 off. And she wants you to believe that those 4 she fired, she can match to the one at the crime scene. That's not fired. I don't know what the defense is going to do about some sort of expert to describe this and the insanity of it to the jury, but someone needs to describe the insanity of it to the jury, especially considering that the jury is largely female, and typically females are less familiar with firearms. It's just that I think there needs to be someone that can actually explain to the jury exactly what the defense attorneys have said, the apples to oranges. You know, it's like there's a, I mean, if the claim is that Allen's gun produced markings on ejecting that one unspent round at the crime scene, and she cannot replicate that by ejecting unspent rounds, then you don't have a match. You just don't have a match. You cannot fire the rounds and then take those empty cartridges and somehow say that those empty cartridges match the one at the crime scene, but not the other 6 that you've just extracted without firing. There's just the logic in it is completely asinine. I mean, and I would guarantee you take any independent gun guy out here and describe this to him, he's going to say it's fucking lunacy. It's sheer lunacy. It's lunacy. So that was today. You got to take her word for it because she's an expert. I mean, gosh, man. It makes no sense. But what really gets me is that it, you know, even if it did match. Now, I'm telling you, in my mind, I cannot conceive it. Okay, but let's just say she came out with something different. And what if she sat there and she said, it's an identical match? Yes, when I cycle the round through without firing it, if I just cycle and eject the bullet, and that bullet's not been fired, it's just been ejected, I can match these 6 identically to the one at the crime scene. That means it's an identical match, that the bullet at the crime scene was identically one that can match this Richard Allen's gun. Still doesn't mean he killed the girls. It doesn't. All it means is that a bullet that had been cycled at some point through his gun ended up on Ron Logan's property. They spent the entire day trying to brainwash the jury about the gun. If it wasn't true, if it wasn't a true crime group. You know what? What really bothered me was her trying to explain or overly impress them with her credentials and her academia, or whatever you want to call it. She's like the 4.0 student of examining guns. That's not impressive. I know you said to let you know about the ads. She said we had to take her word for it because it would be irresponsible to rely on photographs, and turn around and show the jury photographs. Proctored. A whole day taken from the defense. Yes. How many days have they taken from the defense already? But like I said, oh yeah, you mean the the Karen Reed boys. She was there to eat up time. Yeah, it didn't need the whole day. I mean, she could have done it in an hour or two. Is explain basically that, look, I can't match the unspent rounds, but somehow magically I can match the fired rounds. It's the most asinine thing. I mean, ask any guy you know. If you ladies know any guy in your life that's a gun nut, go ask your gun nut friends about this. And remember, the 6 that were all ejected by racking, just as it's assumed that one found by Abby and Libby was, they don't match. But the 4 fired, she's claiming do match. Just ask any of your gun friends. All right. So, hey, that's it. That gets us all the way caught up with the coverage. Now, remember, I told you that I was going to go through the detailed notes and do some critique, and we'll be getting to that, and we'll also be getting to some guests. I have a few guests lined up to do some amazing shows with, so I can't wait to get to those. And anyway, that's where we are. And so, as you can see, it took us 3 hours here. So in 3 hours, we've gone over the entire first week, the 7 days. Albeit I skipped the first day because that was Becky, Patty, and Kelsey, and we'll be getting to that at a later time on a special show. But we'll get back to day 1 because that one we're really going to dissect, because what they said on day 1 didn't match what they've said for 7.5 years. But I think you know that already. But what am I getting at? But other than the Becky, Patty, Kelsey German, Derek German, we've covered day 2 through day 7, so we're all the way caught up with all of the pigs. This is basically the prosecution's entire case, and I mean, tomorrow's a DNA expert. What do you think they're going to say? They're going to say, no, we don't have a match to Richard Allen, because guess what? If they had a match to Richard Allen, it would have been all over the news and all over the troll farm the past 2 years. And so they ain't got Richard Allen's DNA. Now, do they possibly have the family's DNA? I don't know. But that's what I'm getting at is that so we've just heard the entire first week of the prosecution's case, and as you've seen, it's basically presenting the defense, handing them a gift wrap box of chocolates or something. All we learned is that Richard Allen is not Bridge Guy. They've got nothing digital on Richard Allen. They've got nothing weapon wise on Richard Allen. They've got nothing in the vehicle or in the house on Richard Allen. Nothing, nothing, nothing. No motorcycle cover, no water bottle, no cat hair. All the shit that a certain person, you know who it is, spread around on this internet to imply guilt of Richard Allen. They got nothing. And they actually have they have witnesses telling you that they saw Bridge Guy, but that Bridge Guy is not Richard Allen. And that's all you've seen in the first week. And now they have a lady telling you that she can't match the 6 unspent rounds to the 1 unspent round at the crime scene, but that she can match 4 fired shell casings. Oh my God, dude. It's worse than I imagined it would be. It's worse than I imagined this would be. So, hey, what I say is pig roast. Pig roast. So here's what I'd like to know from you guys. On the pig roast, who knows anything about the pig roast that you can prove? Does anybody out there have screenshots, personal firsthand testimony, anything witnessing, proving anything about a party happening at Ron Logan's in the 48 hours before these girls were found? By that I mean, remember Carrie Timmons saying, I heard there were some guys out there cooking dope in the woods that day, that very day, and that maybe the girls ran into them and saw something they shouldn't, so they dealt with it. You guys got anything about a bunch of guys cooking drugs out in the woods that day who the girls may have ran into? Because that right there is the pig roast. And that right there is what I want to know about. So if you know anything, leave me a comment, send me an email. That's the party I want to know about. But God bless you all. Thank you so much for being here. If you're on the replay, please do me a favor. Leave some comments down below. Your comments down below are the greatest thing once this stream is over. When this stream is done, the only thing that makes it go is your comments. Okay, so as you comment, I see them. It gives me more ideas. I react. I respond. We talk back and forth. Other people come in, and it gets good. Okay, so please, if you're on the replay, leave a comment, get a conversation started, and that would be great. And also, I want to let you know that you can also leave a super chat, a super thanks, a cash app, a buy me a coffee, all these support pathways. You guys, please support the channel. I work hard all day, every day on this, talking to hundreds of people and doing a lot of work, and we got a lot more good coming for you. And man, the creators, we're all coming together. We got a lot of creators coming together. And so I've been working with a lot of creators behind the scenes. We're having discussions. So it's all good. So please support the channel, and maybe Amy will drop our support pathways. Oh, look, she's doing that. Yeah, so we got like the buy me a coffee and the cash app and all that and the super chat. So please support the channel. But yeah, just hit the like and leave a comment down below on the replay. And we really want to say God bless you, and God and bless each other, and we love you, and I'm so appreciative of those who have been in the chat tonight to keep this conversation going. It's needed. I actually meant tonight to do a open discussion with the chat where we just go back and forth, and I put up the link and possibly have guests come on the panel. But I got to tell you, I thought this was way more important to get this summarized at the end of the first week, to really have us understand kind of what was presented and how bad it is for the state. I mean, this is bad. This is bad. So that's what's up. So I want to thank you all for that, and hope we got you caught up. And hey, tomorrow is my day off, but I might be on Silky. You know, I love Silky, and Silky often asks me to come and talk on her channel. And so maybe tomorrow I'll do a show with Silky. So watch out for me. Watch out for Silky and I to have a little discussion tomorrow. It should be fun. And hey, what's up, Noe? Welcome in. And other than that, we'll see you later. Okay, we'll see you all later. Please hit the like on your way out of here. And that's about it. And look for us next week. Okay, next week we'll be hitting the ground running again. All right, so that's what's up. And that was our Prof's Friday night pig roast. And hopefully we roasted a few of those nasty pigs. And by that, I mean Mullen and all the other ones we just went down the list. Hoban especially. He's the fattest pig. So he's super good to roast. He's got a lot of bacon. Anyway, that's it, y'all. So we're out of here. Good night, everyone. I'm out of here. I'll leave the chat open 5 minutes, and we'll see you later. All right. God bless everyone. God bless Abby and Libby. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.